welcome to the Varside Spurs podcast, coming to you all the way from the Varside Arms. Tonight I'm joined by Simon. How are we doing, Simon?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Good.
Excellent.
More prepared than you, I think, but yeah.
Wouldn't take much, let's be honest.
No, I'm usually like just running around like a headless chicken. So I'm glad that you're on the pod to make me look like I know what I'm doing. It's fantastic.
Yeah, unfortunately, between one of the dogs is not well, so I had to go to the vet with him this afternoon. He's fine. He just has to have some special stomach food. So just between running around with him, looking after him today, and everything else like that, I just like, yeah, I can do it. But I haven't really thought much more about it since watching it the other day. I did watch the highlights again this afternoon just to refresh my memory on everything that didn't happen. But we'll see where we go.
Okay, okay. This could be a short pod then, because my recollection of stuff is not always the best. So I'm probably going to be relying on your reflection via the highlights to actually pad this out for I don't know. Maybe we can get this one to be under an hour, and we can be like, we can be well happy with our day's work. So
maybe. I did watch the original game, but I did watch the match live. I was in a pub in Brighton, so a few pints in. That's why I thought, let me just go back and make sure I remember how I felt about it at the time.
Yeah. I was actually. I mean, obviously I was there. And I was, it took me ages to get there. There's a lot of traffic on the road, more traffic than normal.
Train strikes.
And I made the mistake of going to park at Redemption rather than going and parking at my normal place for where I would park when I drive, which was quite a bit further away. So you kind of leave earlier, probably leave at the same time, arrive earlier, and then just walk 20 minutes or whatever. But like, at least you didn't get away. You're not caught up in so much traffic. So getting away was an absolute fucking nightmare as well, even though I gave it a while.
I can't imagine it was fun at all. I mean, I'm not. Had I been going, I'm not sure what I would have done, because without public transport to a destination that has no real parking options, it's just a hideous nightmare.
But I mean, there clearly was, some form of transport. I think, I mean, so I mean, the stadium was full, and Wolves brought down their full allocation by the looks of it. There was quite a few coaches and quite a few people drove, apparently, according to one of the guys I was talking to from their fan base. Okay, let's get into it anyway, though.
Yep, sure.
So, how are you feeling apart from being pissed? how are you feeling pre-match about the game? Given, I know obviously we've won the first one, drawn the second, but how are you kind of feeling in terms of?
I felt pretty good. Well, to be honest, I was feeling pretty good, because I'm thinking we are at home. We're up and we're running. I haven't paid that much attention to the amount of business that Wolves have done. And so when I was sort of looking through the team sheet, I'm like, okay, yeah, great, but I don't know them particularly well. So I was kind of like, at the end of the day, there's no opposition we should be really fearing. And, we've had a decent start. We should just be able to go out there at home and start to take control of the game. So we know that, I know that, it has been said, these three fixtures that we have played, we got nothing from them last season.
Yeah,
fine, but we did win against Southampton. We did draw against Chelsea. We have spent, got some a good squad. We have, we should still have the positive vibes. We should be able to go out there and grind our way into the game, knowing how difficult it can be to break down a team like Wolves.
Yeah, and I met you right. I think the thing that kind of worried me was that I'm pretty sure that they announced at least two signings during the week, and then like the day before, like all of a sudden, like the striker, I can't remember his name, the one that had the really bad head injury, he was suddenly announced as being fit and back in contention, and it was like, Great. Yeah, you're just going to have a stronger side than you've had all season. And we always seem to struggle against Wolves. So even if we do win, like, I can't remember what my prediction was. I was trying to think back to what my prediction was in the previous pod.
Mm.
And I can't remember what it was, but I'm probably more optimistic than I was when I reflected on the fact that actually we always kind of struggle against Wolves, and it's never an easy game. So
I think we were sort of saying things like 2-0, 3-1. That's this kind of stuff.
yeah,
And I think it was probably fairly clear in the first 15, 20 minutes that that would be a good result. There's no way we were going to thrash them. They were tricky and did cause us, a few issues. No doubt about it.
It's weird though. I mean, as I say, the Wolves fans there was a couple of Wolves fans. Well, there was a load of Wolves fans at Redemption, and
right,
like
really?
there was absolutely shitloads there. And the couple of fans that I got into conversation with, they weren't expecting anything. They were quite pessimistic about their chances, to be honest. So
Really interesting.
yeah, and you'd think, like, given that we always say, make it difficult for ourselves, that they might have been a bit more optimistic about the outcome. So yeah, that's interesting stuff. So team was announced, and we obviously knew that prior to the game, we knew that Romero would be out, and then also Perisic came in to the lineup as well. So how are you? Well, obviously, you had no choice about Sanchez, but what were your thoughts about Perisic coming in and taking Sessegnon's place?
I'm fine with that. I think it was kind of as you say, since Sanchez coming in was forced. Perisic coming in and taking Sessegnon's place, then I've got no issues with this. We've paid, we've got him on. He's there as a player, not just as a mentor.
Yeah.
So you've got to bring him in if you think that. And we said this last time. If you think that Sessegnon is just going to get bullied because he isn't, I don't think, a mentally tough enough player yet to be able to tackle some of the scraps. He's too much. I get the sense he's a nice boy, but
right.
But what we want is, he needs to sort of toughen up a bit.
Yeah.
So if that means Perisic comes in and basically causes enough of a problem to either put the other guy out or knacker him out or show him how it's done, I'm fine with that because that's his job.
I see. I mean, you'd probably seen on the chat, and we're going to the performance in a little while, but I wasn't totally convinced by Perisic. But then I subsequently reflected on it. I know that interestingly, a lot of the fan base were really like, it was fantastic. It was great performance. He's really, really good, fantastic player. And I felt that a lot of people were kind of seeing him through Spurs tinted glasses, but that's another thing. But I wondered if, because Conte likes to make these changes, he likes to, he kind of, I'll say he's preset for his changes, but he probably had an inkling, for example, that Traore wasn't going to start, right? But so if he wants Perisic to play any part of that game, then he can't really put Perisic up against Traore. So it's kind of like, well, we'll play Perisic, and then if Traore comes on, then we'd bring Sessegnon on because Sessegnon's a bit quicker, probably than Perisic to be able to combat Traore. I think it may have worked the other way around. I think Sessegnon came on and then Traore did come on. But in terms of matching them up for pace, I think that Sessegnon was a good match for Traore in that sort of situation, and I don't think he got beat by him very much. So I'm wondering if tactically, he kind of switched them around in terms of how he's been starting to give him the opportunity to make that change on that side of the pitch, because otherwise he wouldn't have been able to do it.
Well, so that's a really good point. So I'm just kind of having a quick squiz here. And Traore was brought on in the 71st minute, and Sessegnon was brought on in the 76th. So that would line up. That would line up with your theory, which is, okay, Traore's coming. So, at the 70-something minute, Perisic has done his job. Okay, let's get Ryan. You've been watching what he's been doing, right? Okay, so now use your youth and your speed, and just do your best. And I was it this game or the previous game? I can't remember now. Where Perisic was giving kind of advice to Sessegnon on the sideline or at some point. So there's definitely building that bond between them. They both know what they've got to do. I think it's totally fair enough that, frankly, we made our changes in the 76th minute and the 86th minute. Arguably, almost too late, not too late, but could have been earlier. But clearly, Conte was hanging out to see what was really going to happen because, he was obviously had a game plan in mind about who we bring on and when we bring them.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think there's interesting points really about that and about the timing of when those players came on. So as I said already, I was a bit critical of Perisic. I certainly was critical of him in the stadium at half time. I thought, in terms of how we tried to play, I thought it was interesting because he came inside a hell of a lot. So rather than like holding the width and going high, and I see Conte kind of when they show the Conte cam stuff, whatever, you see him always going to Sessegnon and get up there, move, get out, and be clearly, Perisic is a little bit more, obviously mature, and he's able, he trusts him kind of in that role. So it felt like he was given more opportunity or more license to go and find the areas where he thought he could influence the game. So if that meant coming inside, he would do that. But I think he kind of went inside to come out later. So he'd come inside to fill the space in the middle of the pitch, and only went outside once the ball went out to Davis, who came a lot higher and wider, and then played it. And then once the ball was in that area, that's when he came into the wide area to try and receive it, which I felt was a lot more different in terms of how we would normally play with Sessegnon and I guess with Romero. I thought the first half, we didn't play how we've been playing. I thought we were a lot more conservative, I think, in our approach.
I think that feels I think that feels right, but I think that there was definitely a reason for that, because if you think about back to the Chelsea game, where, and I do appreciate they're two completely different teams, where we thought we got kind of swamped a lot and therefore they had a lot of opportunities. There's definitely a method to try and, as you say, like a Conte style, not keeping it defensive, but just try to keep it in shape and try to make sure that we weren't creating loads of gaps that could be exposed.
Yeah, I guess so. But I don't know. I feel that the trade-off for that is that the way we played, in the first half, if you compare the first half tempo and intensity against the second half, because when we came out in the second half flying, and all of a sudden, players like I get that in the normal kind of way we set up, Romero is probably the one that's going to come out of defence. Davis to a lesser extent, but Romero will come out, and he's a good ball carrier. He's good decision maker with the ball. And Sanchez is just for want of a better word, he's just a defender. He's not that ball carrier. He can pass the ball. He'll make those decisions to pass it and retain possession, but he's not the one that's going to carry the ball out and be the extra body when we're in possession, which meant that Davis was the one that had to do that and be more, do that more often than he would do in a normal game, and be the one that adds. And he started to do that a lot more in the second half and got a lot higher up the pitch. When he done that, I felt we started to impose ourselves a lot more on the game. Is that in your